Hey, it's Dean. I know I've been away for a while. I've been kind of busy, but I more or less came up with the idea to talk about something totally different today, and that was training splits. Because I don't think I've touched on it at all, and I know it's one of those things that people really want to know about, and maybe don't. There's really nobody out there giving them the information to try and help them design a good training split that fits the individual, that fits for them. So what I did was I put together this PowerPoint, and in it I'm going to talk about just one particular training split. Okay, this is one that over years and years and years of lifting has sort of become the focus, my focus, and the way that I go about doing my training, especially when I started getting older and overtraining became an issue. And also when my focus shifted from really just just weightlifting for the sake of weightlifting to bodybuilding, okay, or training for a specific purpose, okay. So what I'm going to talk about is this is basically my training split, okay. This is what, and this is just one of many ways of going about doing this, okay. But let me talk about what is a training split, okay? A training split is a way of constructing routines to meet specific goals and individual needs, okay? So, where somebody might be training for a sport, some kind of athletic endeavor, some kind of competition, or if you're training for bodybuilding, like I've been doing, you need to construct a training split that helps to facilitate that particular goal, okay? It also, I'm using this PowerPoint so you can, if it's possible to see it, you can pause this and read this yourself. But it's a program design change. Sometimes, your training starts falling into a pattern, you plateau, you don't really like what you're doing, and you need to break it up and try something different. All right, well, readjusting or redesigning your training split is one way of going about changing your program to facilitate progress, okay? It's also a carefully constructed routine that's flexible and balanced, all right? So in other words, it can be changed on the fly, all right? And it's balanced in that it covers every aspect of your body. There's, if you're training, and I know I've said this before, if you're training and you're neglecting a body part, because I don't know how many guys I've seen, and maybe it's just some sort of genetic flaw or something, who have, enormous biceps and have calves that are about as big around as my wrist, If that doesn't bother you and that's a problem, then don't worry about having a balanced training split. But if you want a balanced physique and you want a balanced body, and you know what, this thing that I'm talking about is really for bodybuilding. I mean, or body transformation. Let's call it body transformation, because everybody probably, most people want to have a body that's balanced, that looks good, that's muscular, well defined. Okay, well, there's one way to go about doing it. And bodybuilding is that way. That's just the word that describes the method or the approach, okay? But a training split is also a weekly map so that you can help sort of follow your gains, okay? Where to start with a training split? The most important question you're going to ask yourself is, how many days a week are you training and for how long, okay? I'm going to get into the whole how many days a week in just a minute. For how long depends on you. If if you're isolating like I do and you're only working one body part every routine, so in other words, I go into the gym, or I go into my gym, and I'm doing it's chest day. Chest is all I'm focused on. That's all I'm doing. So do I need to spend an hour and a half or 2 hours in the gym working on my chest? No. Okay? No. If I'm doing an hour and a half routine and I'm working just on my chest, I guarantee you that not only will I probably be in pain and sore, but I will have overtrained, and I'll probably be going backwards instead of forwards. So what you need to consider is, how many days a week am I training, and for how long, how long am I training in each session, okay? Because what, like this says, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is overtraining, all right? Because what happens when you overtrain is, you do so much work And what you're doing in the gym is damage. Okay, I mean, there's no other way to put it. When you're in the gym and you're lifting weights, you're not actually building muscle. You're tearing it up. All right. The process of growth and occurs, okay, when you're sleeping. I mean, honestly, you go into the gym, you lift heavy weight, you do these routines, and what you're really doing is creating these micro tears in your muscle tissue. And what happens is, in the process of recovery, the healing process, the muscle tissue repairs itself, and then what it does is, because the body is unique in that way, it repairs itself so that it can essentially be prepared for the stress that you're going to put it through again the next day. I mean, the body is an adaptive, I mean, it really is an adaptive and really sort of intelligent, I don't know what word to use to describe it, but what it does is, basically what it does is it adapts, okay, really well. In other words, if you starve yourself, okay, it will become really efficient at conserving body fat. If you eat really well, okay, it will become efficient at metabolizing food and utilizing it for growth and energy and that type of thing. So like this says, if you spend every day in the gym, unless you're maybe taking steroids or something, you're probably overtraining. All right. Most lifters 4 days a week in the gym, more than enough, especially if you're training the way you should be. Okay, and growth occurs when you're sleeping, not in the gym. All right, the gym is where the process starts, but the gym is where you're damaging your body, and in that process, when it begins the recovery process, it grows and adapts to then be able to manage that stress that you put it through the next time you go through the gym. So you push hard enough, you create and facilitate enough growth, you go back in the gym, you're stronger. Now you can push harder, okay? You push harder, you go home, you tear it up, and the next, as time goes on, your body continually adapts to that stress and inevitably grows in that process to continue to help adapt to the progressive resistance that you're adding to your routines, okay? So the most important thing, listen to your body, okay? Listen to it, because if it's telling you that you're in pain, that you've overtrained, that you're hurting, that something's not right, listen, adapt to that, change what's necessary, what you need to fix it, and move on. All right. So here's the basic structure of what I do, my current training split. And this isn't written or fixed in stone. This is just something that I have sort of a pattern I've fallen into that works for me, okay? And what that pattern is 2 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, 2 on, okay? So this is a cycle of working out that repeats itself endlessly. So I'll work 2 days. So in other words, I'll train on Monday and Tuesday. I'll take Wednesday off, okay? Thursday I'll train. Friday I'll take the day off, all right? Saturday and Sunday, I'll train both days, all right? Take Monday off, Tuesday I'll train, Wednesday off, and this cycle just repeats itself endlessly, okay? It's basically 2 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, 2 on, okay? And in this, what you're doing is you're giving yourself enough time, okay, in between routines to actually recover. If you're training consecutive days, 4 or 5 consecutive days in a row, and you're not taking, at least 2 or 3 days off at the end of that 4 or 5 day cycle, you're probably not healing and you're probably not growing. Maybe, like I said, if you're taking steroids, if you're doing, if you're taking some sort of PED or something, maybe you can get through that. Maybe that's not a problem because that's what those things are designed to do. But if you're natural, if you're doing more than this, in my opinion, you're probably doing too much. But everybody's different. Some people can handle or manage that much training. Some people can't. All right. So it's really simple. That is my training split. All right. And since I'm, I don't know if I've got it in this PowerPoint. Well, I do. All right. On Monday, I might train my calves and my chest because what I like to do is stick body parts into my routines that don't necessarily get worked often enough. I mean, it's not enough to do calves 1 day a week, okay? It really isn't. So on my chest day, I'll do my calves. On the next day when I do my back, okay, because I like to do a flipped push-pull structure. In other words, I'll do a push exercise the first day, and then the second day I'll do the pull, okay? So the whole first day is my chest, the whole second day is my back, all right? But in it, and as a warm-up usually, or maybe along with it as part of the routine, I'll work my calves and my chest, and I'll do my abdominals with my back. And usually when I do my abdominals, well, I was going to say I just do it all before I do my routine, and I used to do that, but now I kind of just put the sets of my ab work in between my sets of my back work, okay? On Wednesday, I'm off. On Thursday, I'm back to calves again, but I'm going to do my legs. So I'm doing calves and legs together, all right? Friday, I'm off. Saturday, I'm doing the only combination muscle routine I do, bicep, tricep, all right? It's a little much with this kind of split to do biceps by themselves and triceps by themselves. Bicep, triceps, relatively small muscle group, so I put them together. It's another push-pull combo. You're pulling with your biceps, you're more or less pushing with your triceps. So I just call it arms. I mean, I have a chest day, a back day, an arm day, okay, which is bicep, tricep. And then on Sunday, okay, after the bicep, tricep, I do my shoulders, all right? My shoulders and my traps. I throw my traps in with my shoulders, even though maybe technically it's like a back thing. But it could be either way. I could do trap work with my back. I could do trap work with my shoulders, both in the same week. Because there are some muscle groups, traps, calves, and abs, you can hit multiple times a week without overtraining. All right. I take Monday off. Tuesday, I'm back to legs again. All right. There used to be a time. If you look at what I've done here, it's 2 upper body leg day, 2 upper body leg day, okay, and that's just kind of the way I work it out, because it really gives you enough time to hit your legs properly. Because if you're doing 4 consecutive upper body routines and then just 1 leg routine, that's not enough. All right, even if you split it and do a light leg day and a heavy leg day, it's better than under training your legs, because it's half your body. If you're not spending at least as much time on the lower half of your body as you are the upper half, then there's going to be some imbalance there, and it's not going to look right. So there's kind of my split. And here's another thing that I'll do. You see I got chest and back. Well, when I come back around on the same split, okay, I'll flip the back routine and put it first, put the chest routine second. The reason? To give each one an opportunity to be first, okay? Because if I do my chest routine, I come in the next day and do back, my chest is still hurting. That might help because it's kind of a pre-exhaust situation where I've kind of worked my chest, so it's not really facilitating my back work at all. But I flip the routines week to week, okay, so that each one gets an opportunity to be the first one and be fresh when I work out, okay, so that it's just balance. It brings balance to the whole aspect of your training, okay. Things to consider with your training split, all right? This is only one kind of split. There are many, okay? There are so many. There's every other day. There's, there's 4 on 3. It's endless. It just depends on what you want to do, and it depends on what works for you. But like I was saying, I switched leading muscle groups, okay? That routine that I had written on that previous page, it may stay the same, but what's going to change is when I start that routine out, say on Monday, Tuesday, chest and back, the next week when I come around to it again, it's going to be back and chest, okay? Same thing with if for some reason my arms and my shoulders fall on consecutive days, if it comes to that 2 on thing, same thing. I'll do the arms first and the shoulders, and then the next week I'll do the shoulders first and then the arms, all right? Because it just provides, that variety that keeps your body kind of guessing as to what's going on. Plus, each one gets an opportunity to be worked first and then worked second, which, it just allows for cleaner, more balanced routines, all right? Also, make minor changes to the routines frequently and never do the exact same thing week to week, okay? Unless you're just doing maintenance or you're lifting heavy, all right? If you're just lifting heavy and there's no purpose in, you're not looking for definition, you're not looking for, particularly muscle maturity, just overall strength and that type of thing, knock yourself out. Do whatever you want. But if you're bodybuilding or body, in the process of transforming your body, variety promotes progress, okay? Variety. And by that I mean change it up. If you're writing a log, if you're writing your stuff down on a piece of paper, okay, fine, that's fine. But if you're writing a log and what you see is day to day, week to week, the same thing over and over and over again, guess what? You are probably stuck and plateaued, okay? You're not making any progress. If you are, it might be in small, tiny increments that are actually meaningless on paper. What matters, at least to me, is, and the only thing that matters anymore, I do step on a scale every once in a while, but who cares? It's just sort of as a, just to kind of tell me where I'm at with my weight. My concern is what's in the mirror, What I'm worried about is, what do I look like? Because if I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see, then I need to do something with my routine, and it's time to change it, okay? If you're stuck, if you're consumed with how much weight you're lifting as opposed to what's happening in that process, then your priorities might be a little screwed up. I don't know. It just depends. Like I said, mine has always been about the look and the physique. So if my physique is off, I'm carrying too much weight, I feel like maybe my calves are smaller than they should be, or maybe my arms aren't big enough, change the focus, prioritize, isolate, and bring balance back into it. And that balance comes from variety, okay? So this is just one, like I said, this is just one concept. There's countless ways of redefining or defining a split, all right? But this one has served me well because it's balanced. It focuses on all the muscle groups. It isolates large muscle groups for intensity. But one thing you can do or consider with your training split is putting some of those larger muscle groups together. In other words, okay, rather than just doing chest day and then back day, I could do chest and back in the same routine. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with even throwing that in there and just changing the routine and maybe shortening the length of time between the amount of time it takes you to do an entire body, to do your entire body. In other words, you combine muscle groups like this, okay, and you're doing 2 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, 2 on, you're going to hit the muscle groups more often if you start combining them, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that, to me, some ways, it's too much. Two large muscle groups together. If you're not doing them in supersets or doing them in a way that allows both of them to receive the same amount of attention, then one of them may suffer. There's nothing wrong with it, but you got to be careful when you start putting that much work together into one routine. And I always do push-pull type, so. But chest and triceps, one of the most common combinations I've seen, and I've done it myself for months at a time, is to work my chest and my triceps together, and my back and my biceps, okay? Because back is more of a pull, biceps is more of a pull, okay? Chest is a push, triceps is a push, all right? So those are combinations that facilitate each other, that kind of work together to help strengthen muscles that sort of work, in conjunction with each other anyway. But dozens of ways to redirect or redesign this stuff, okay, to really facilitate whatever kind of progress, whatever kind of goal that you're trying to meet, okay. But here's a constant, and this is like the last last part of this, okay. Variety, change, keys to growth, okay. Like I said, if you're charting your stuff on paper, you're doing the same thing day in and day out, you're doing it the same way, you're doing the same routines, you're doing the same number of sets, the same number of reps, the same weights, that's not going to get you where you want to be. Where you want to be is kind of where I am, okay? If you want to step on stage, you want to look good, you want to be muscular, you want to, really be well-defined, vascular, then you need to be aware of the fact that you can't do the same routines day in and day out. That does not work for long periods of time, okay? It's all right to set something up, maybe go and, cycles, micro and macro cycles if you really want to get technical, say 2 to 3 months at a time, whatever, even 4 to 6 weeks at a time, and then shift gears and change, that's fine. But if you're not changing your routines, if you're not doing something different on a regular basis, you are probably not making any progress, all right? And that is just something, I mean, if I've learned one thing over the years, this is it right here. My routines change every time I work out. I don't do the same thing I don't write anything down. I don't need to, because I know where I'm at. I know what I'm capable of doing, and I know what I want to accomplish. So sometimes I'll go in and do 8 to 12 rep ranges, moderately heavy. Sometimes I'll go in and do lightweight, high rep, man, and I'll just knock it out. I mean, just constant movement, because it's not really heavy weight, but it's consistent. It's consistently, it's more intense. And believe it or not, even with the low weight, high rep stuff, you can still put on size. You can still grow from that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, if you're not breaking it up and doing that sometimes, you probably are not growing, okay? But something to remember. Keep in mind, doing the same thing day in and day out is not only going to probably bore you to tears and maybe even cause a situation where you just finally lose interest in what you're doing. It's going to make you plateau, and you're not going to get anywhere. So, variety and change, the key to growth, okay? Anyway, that's my take on one training split, and that's the one I've been using. That's the one I use right now, okay, pretty much. Just to kind of give you an idea how to set up a routine and, how to go about structuring it in a way that you can achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve. Anyway, thanks for listening. See you next time.